Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about the spillover effects of special economic zones and does the informal economy matter? Now, special economic zones are often used as a policy tool to catalyze or build out or grow segments or sections of an economy, whether that be an industry or that could be a specific geographic area that is in need of economic development and growth. And that could be an entire economy, especially in the case of developing countries. So, the question about does the informal economy matter? It very much does matter because oftentimes in these spaces, in especially in developing countries, the informal economy is a massive part of the economy, right? So the spillover effects of zones, and you want to see that special spillover effects with that the level of linkages between the two, between the domestic space on the one hand and the zones on the other. And it's not just about labor. That was the enclave export processing model. But zones have evolved from that and become more of a tool for overall economic development, not just to grow jobs. Jobs are one of the criteria or one of the areas in which you want to grow. In terms of modern zones, how zones operate in modern times. Now, the informal economy and we have to be careful here in terms of how we define a formal economy. I'm going to remove, for example, crime. That is part of the informal economy. Let's put that to one side and speak about how typically the informal economy is addressed or looked at, and that's typically people that are not paying taxes or are not registered in some way, whether incorporated or registered. There are problems with using that metric, but we're going to use it for now. So one of the problems, for example, with taxes, you may be below a particular threshold. So it's not that you uh, don't want to pay taxes, is that you're not eligible to pay taxes, so you can't be deemed really informal. Uh, you know, in addition, you could very well be registered, but just, not paying taxes because you haven't met a particular threshold to be eligible to pay taxes. But we're going to use that as our working definition for now in terms of the informal economy. And what you'll see in terms of zones is these are particularly vendors that come out and sell their wares, offer lunch, for example, to the zone workers, um, offer certain services to the zone workers. Um, and these typically happen close to or proximate to the entrance and exits to the zones. And this is where this can oftentimes or sometimes lead to other challenges, but we're going to focus on the fact that these people actually matter to the zone because they actually maintain the workers, for example, in terms of the case of lunch and the like. And there's oftentimes challenges in terms of how do you measure the impact of these folks. And there's some basic ways to assist governments in terms of how they can do some surveys. It's not going to be, you're not going to have 100% accuracy, but now you have some data that you can use to help shape policy and shape how you can best move these folks from being informal to being formal, and showing them the benefits of formality in many respects. So the spillover effects of a zone are not just within the formal space, but also in the informal space, in the sense of, for example, those vendors. Uh, there's also folks that, are transportation operators that operate, informal taxis or informal buses, and they transport the workers from home to the zone. And they, of course, are having an impact, and the zone likewise is having an impact on them. So they very much matter. So we in terms of officials and policymakers, the informal economy cannot be ignored. You have to look at it. You have to see how you can best move folks from being informal to being formal, but also note that they too have a space or have a role to play and are playing a role and a positive role in the zone functioning and zone development and zone operations. And we must account for them and try our best to see how they can be assisted. Even if you can't move them from being informal to being formal, there are ways that we could see how best to assist them, in terms of even creating a space for them to be in. Uh, that these folks have set up, informal shops, informal restaurants, so forth. Well, ensure that there's garbage collection in that area because you know that they're there. So create that. Have the street sweepers go and sweep the area, maybe once or twice or three times for the day, whatever can be done. But these folks actually matter, right? And are having a positive impact. So if you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you.